My brother, Dr. Tunji Alausa, has eaten into my time. So let me try and engage in some time management here. Before we started, I was to go first. He then appealed that he should go first because education is more important than aviation. So I told my... You are clapping. I told my permanent secretary to immediately put him on a no-fly list. Let us see how he will fly from one school to the other. Thank you so much, gentlemen, and please permit me to adopt the protocols that were established earlier today because I want to manage my time. Now, the first question I asked when we wanted to do this series was that, do we repeat all that we had achieved? And we said last year, I think we were here last year, June or July, or do we continue from where we stopped? And I said, well, let me continue from where we stopped so that we won't be repeating ourselves. At that time, when we were here last time, we said so many things were in the pipeline, if you remember. And the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is a government that does not keep things in the pipeline for too long. Those things that were in the pipeline last year, they have become fully blown now, full-blown achievements. And so we will no longer be talking of so many pipelines here today. Those are full-blown achievements. So we'll start, if you look at our presentation, the first 10 or so pages, we'll skip them, because those are the things we had said last year we had achieved. So we don't want to just use those ones as achievements now to cover up on our achievements. No, we have achieved so much more after then, and we are going to start talking about those full-blown achievements. So you will skip some of those pages. We have talked about all of this. Let me start from sometime in July last year. At that time, we said we are at the cusp of achieving a couple of things. And let me start talking, reeling out those things we had achieved. Through the diplomatic efforts led by the president himself, we had mended our relationship with the UAE. I'm sure you all know, it's not secret, it's open secret, that our relationship with the UAE was very bad, very damaged at the time this government came into office. And one of the effects of that damaged relationship was the suspension of flights, the Emirates flights between both countries. We are at the cusp of bringing them back at that time in July. So we are happy to report that we continued those diplomatic shuttles. We entered into a new BASA agreement with the UAE, bilateral service agreement. We negotiated back and forth, and we succeeded in opening that route again to Nigeria. So Emirates is back. They started October 1 last year. But that is not all. That is not all. In bringing them back and signing a new BASA agreement, we ensured that we took care of our local airlines and the interests of our local airlines. So we negotiated a couple of things with them. We said, look, can you enter into code sharing agreements with some of our local airlines in order to develop these local airlines too? Because the truth of the matter is that sometimes when you bring some of these international airlines, yes, you are happy about that, but then you also bring them in direct competition with local airlines which do not have the capacity to compete with them on some of these routes. So the best way and the most clever thing to do is to ensure that they could share with them in order to also lift their capacity. So we are happy to report that today that in bringing them back, Emirates did not only come back, but they have also entered into a code sharing agreement with one of our local operators, Air Peace. Today, very soon, that code sharing agreement will take off. And so you may be able very soon to, for example, buy a ticket from Calabar to Dubai directly. And so Air Peace will lift you from Calabar, bring you to Lagos, and then you board the Emirates proper. You go to one ticket, just one ticket. You go to Dubai, and when you come back, they drop you in Lagos. Air Peace picks you again to Calabar, one ticket. That is code sharing agreement. So we have ensured that we entered in, we brokered that deal on behalf of our local airlines, and more of such code sharing agreements will follow with many other local airlines, with other international airlines. We are in the process of negotiating some of this on their behalf. It also aligns with one of our 5-point agenda, which I should have started with, but we have said that over and over again, that this is the first government that has taken it upon itself to put as one of its clear objectives the support and growth of our local airlines, whilst holding them, to the best international standards. In the whole of Africa, all the airlines in Africa are either sponsored, supported, or subsidized by the governments of those countries. Rwanda Air, South African Air, Egypt Air, Moroccan Air. Call them, name them, so everyone. It is only in Nigeria that you have robust and 100% private participation. So it's a different ballgame. And our policies must be different, our approach must be different. Don't compare Nigeria to other African countries. We are not like them. They don't have private participation at all. All their airlines are subsidized by governments, by their federal governments. So it's important, therefore, for the Nigerian government to turn its own attention to these local operators who keep our skies and our aviation alive, our ecosystem alive. We have 13 active private local airlines in Nigeria that service our local, our domestic and regional routes, and some international routes too. And so it's our deliberate policy to make a lot of, policy, to support their growth and development. And we're going to come to some of these policies that have yielded a lot of fruits, with the active support of the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who has given enough attention to the aviation sector. I must say, the President has supported us in terms of infrastructural development and our policy formation. And we are going to come to those. So it is aligned with one of our 5-point agenda. The Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria has done very well with our terminals, and especially in this case, our Hajj terminals. Since we came into office, we have revitalized and refurbished a lot of our Hajj terminals throughout the country. And for our Muslim brothers and sisters, you will notice that last year, because of this, we opened up a lot of Hajj, routes, Hajj terminals again, where we, performed Hajj from last year, many of the terminals, and that as a result of the effort of our Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria. So most of the Hajj terminals are back, and we are going to continue this year, also lifting our poster that we met when we came. And we have decided to tackle it headlong. And that is the issue of using private, charter planes, which we call the private jets, using them for all kinds of illegal activities. They have been largely unmanned, unchecked, and they just operate the way they like. Beyond that, they also deny the federal government of revenue. Because what most of them do, and this has been happening for 40, 50 years, and when I came, they said, Minister, don't bother yourself with that. These are the big men who own Nigeria. You cannot tackle them, and just forget about them. This is a practice that, and we are losing. In fact, the committee we set up, the task force said, in the last 10 years, the federal government has lost approximately 120 billion naira in revenue to illegal charter operations. And how does that happen? If you bring in a private jet into the country, the first thing you do is to go to the NCAA and ask for a license. The license will indicate whether it is for private hopping, or you want to charter, you want to use as commercial to be carrying people, to be chartering it. And both licenses carry different amounts. I mean, hefty, the difference is very hefty. If it is what they call the PNCF, private charter, non-charter license, is PNCF, they give you a very small fee to pay because it is for your directors of your company, your family, and on. You want to just use it for your social events and business events. And so they give you a small fee to pay. But if you tell the NCA that, look, we want to use it for the charter, we want to use it as taxi every day, we park at the GAT there. So anybody come, I want to go to Calabar, you pay $10,000 back and forth, and on like that. They give you a different fee because you are using it for commercial. 80% of all the aircrafts brought into the country, these private jets, they go and obtain the PNCF, the private one. That is the license they all went to. But all of them are parked every day for business. All of them, I'm just breaking it down for you to understand. They are parked every day for business. And federal government is losing revenue. By parking them, not only that, many of them will now apply to fly out of the country unchecked. You don't even have the manifest, those inside the aircraft. You don't check properly what they put in the aircraft, and they just fly in and fly out of the country. You don't know those who are in the aircraft. Sometimes you hear that there's a near accident with a private jet. We'll be struggling to find out who was inside, who was not inside. Totally unregulated. And so I said, well, I am built to fight this type of things by nature. I told them I will not let it go. I will not. And so I set up a task force on curbing illegal charter operations last year. They sat for more than 6 months. And we brought some of the best hands in the industry, headed by Captain Ado, who has been with Aero for forever, and a very experienced pilot, 7-member task force. And they just submitted their report last week with eye-boggling revelations. In fact, at the point, they even said we shut down the GAT, that private charter wing, for total reorganization in terms of security, in terms of the kind of machines we used to see the bags apart. Just total, we should shut it down for total, check. Not the commercial part, we cannot do that. But that's one of their suggestions. But we are still looking into it on how to quickly implement these recommendations without too much disrupting passenger movement. But then, they said far more than that in terms of the illegalities that go through there. And I will not shy away from saying it. If it is the big men that are involved, the president has given us a free hand to fight this menace. They cannot run to the president. The president will send them back because the president is determined to do what is right. And so in the next few weeks, they have submitted their reports. We are tackling this headlong. In the next few weeks, we are going to be making fast-sweeping reforms. We are going to roll out fast-sweeping, far-reaching measures to curb this based on the reports that has been submitted to us. And we are going to tackle it headlong. So anybody that runs to you and say, go and talk to the minister, don't call me, me and you will quarrel. If you are my friend, don't call me, because we are determined to tackle this. Now, when we came, we also met the African Aviation and Aerospace University at the cusp of takeoff. There was no admission yet, no takeoff. But let me happily report to you that the university has fully taken off. I'm one of the best in Africa, one of the first of such in Africa, where people can even come from outside the country to take courses here, a full-blown university on aviation and aerospace. And we are offered so many courses now. In fact, I'm still going to apply to the president very soon that he should allow me to be reading there now while I'm working, because it's just there near the airport there. So I can become a professor and a doctor, doctorate degree while I'm, yes. And my directors will be the one to teach me. Let me see how they will fail me. Let me see how they will fail me. So we have offered it's a full-blown university. They have taken off, and we encourage, we encourage applicants to apply. In fact, we have too much applications now that we cannot contend with. And the permanent site has taken off. Actually, we took off with part of the building of the NSIB, Nigeria Safety Investigation Bureau. But the permanent site is almost complete now, just by the airport there. So it's a full-blown university. Another happy news we got since last time we were here was that in faraway South Africa, the Airport Council International, they call it the ACI, they hold their normal annual conference, and of course they looked at airports across the world and see the improvements in airports across the world. And we are happy to report that we were awarded, our 2 airports were awarded outstanding dedication to emergency management and resilience. And that is the Abuja and the Port Harcourt Airport won outright the ACI Award, Airport International Council, for our dedication to safety, emergency management. We are ready for emergency in those 2 airports. And they look at how you are ready. Your fire service, your ground staff, and all that. How ready are you to respond to emergencies? And we were rated #1 in Africa in terms of our emergency management and resilience. That also dovetails into the next achievement in the form of the fact that the Federal Airport Authority have been able to cover more than 130 gaps. You know, there are so many boxes you tick when you are looking at an airport and how to certify an airport. Okay, so more than 130, so many things you tick. And between the last time and this time, we ticked more than 130 boxes, 130 boxes, and that was carried out by the NTA. The NCA actually is the regulator. They supervise other agencies in the aviation sector and see how they are meeting up with international standards. We're happy to report that Abuja and Lagos International Airports also achieved what they call the recertification. And in recertifying it, they closed more than 130 gaps, Abuja and Lagos airports. And so there's a lot of improvement in terms of safety and security in those airports. And those are our 2 major international gateways, including Kano also. Since the last time we were here, we also had to visit Boeing on their invitation, on the invitation of Boeing. Boeing invited Nigeria because they carried out a study in Africa and they said the next big thing in Africa is Nigeria. That's an official study by Boeing. The next destination of business in Nigeria in terms of its potential to expand more than where it is now is actually Nigeria. So Boeing actually invited us. We didn't go and even hustle to be there. They said, please come and visit us in the US. We have a couple of things to discuss with you. So we were in Boeing, and one of the outcomes of that visit was an MOU that we signed with Boeing. The MOU covers a lot of areas of cooperation, some of which have taken off already. Aircraft acquisition, safety practices, and other critical aspects of the aviation industry. We signed an MOU with them. And since then, we just didn't sign an MOU, an unworkable MOU. The pipeline has actually matured, and most of these things have started to yield fruit. Since the MOU, Boeing has been here. It's a very long, set of things we plan to do with them, including an MRO. Eventually, they plan to establish a full-blown MRO in Nigeria, maintenance, repair, and overhaul facility. Now they have taken off. Last year, they were here to train most of the pilots in some of the private airlines. And that's why I said it's one of the policies we have adopted. It's not for the benefit of government itself, but for the benefit of the ecosystem and the private operators, which we have deliberately decided to support. They were here to give them technical support free of charge. The MOU says free of charge, just to support the ecosystem in Nigeria. They've trained a lot of their people, technical pilots, their engineers. They brought their personnel here on their own bill, and remained here for so many weeks and did this training for us. Now, not only that, they were impressed with another thing that we did. Last year, if you remember, we said we were about to sign the practice direction on the Cape Town Convention. It was in the pipeline last year. We had not signed, and we had not seen the effect of that signing. But I'm happy to report to you that after our last briefing here, The Vice President of Nigeria actually superintended over the signing himself, as approved by Mr. President, as the head of the Council on Ease of Doing Business, PBEC, the Presidential Initiative on Doing Business, Enabling Council. The Chief Justice of Nigeria actually directed the Federal High Court to look into our concerns about the inability of Nigeria to fully comply with the terms of the Cape Town Convention. We met that on the ground. It has been there for more than 17 years. Nothing was done. And that convention, I've explained over and over, you all know, has to do with a country's capacity and integrity in hiring aircrafts, leasing aircrafts, and releasing those aircrafts when there's a default. Because these are very expensive equipment they take across the world. And they want to make sure that each jurisdiction conforms with the Cape Town Convention so that the ease of leasing and retrieving these aircraft will be harmonized all over the world. So Nigeria was not in that committee of nations that were deemed to be compliant with that. And what was the effect on that? Because this is not just all grammar. The effect was that our local operators have been going out to lease aircraft on very expensive terms. And that is what you see in the high ticket prices too. Apart from the issue of Forex, the high ticket prices, it was an issue of policy. What it takes to lease one aircraft under the wet lease, what they call the ACMI, they come with aircraft insurance crew. That's what ACMI, aircraft crew insurance and everything. They come as one package. You are not allowed to take your internal crew, your own insurance and everything. And those are very expensive, wet leases. It is 3 times more than what you used to take. You get a dry lease if your country is fully compliant with the terms of the Cape Town Convention. They will see your country as safe enough. So instead of going to buy brand new aircraft or lease under wet lease, you can get, look, if a brand new aircraft costs maybe $50 million, some type, $100 million, some type of aircraft, you can lease, instead of going to spend so much money, you can lease up to 40 aircraft with what you used to buy one. I'm being very graphic so you understand the problems we are in. We are in problem. Well, we were in problem. So imagine what it will take. They will now have to pass it on to the tickets, high ticket price, for them to recoup on time, or for them to meet their obligations under the wet list. Because under the wet list, you have to pay back to your lessors every month or every quarter. You have to pay back to them, which is what we call hire purchase under our local parlance. So it was a difficult thing for them. And so this government said, how can we unlock this market for them so that it will trickle down finally to the masses, to the traveling public, and they can have access to brand new planes. Because some of these planes that come under wet leases, they are old planes they have discarded somewhere in the world. Rickety planes that we just go and bring back into the country for domestic and regional flight. And that's why you enter some of these planes, you see them creaking and all that. They creak throughout the flight instead of getting access to brand new planes for our people. These are all locked inside the inability to comply with the Cape Town Convention. This government came and we met so many letters they had written to us before. It's not that they came. They wrote in 2015, 2016, 2017, Nigeria, you are not complying. Now, I met this day on dust were gathering under this letter. They on these letters. But I said, look, this is my profession now. This is my profession. Is it a practice direction they want? You will get it. The president was very supportive on this. The vice president was immense. The Chief Justice of Nigeria spoke to the Chief Judge of the Federal High Court. The Chief Judge, the Attorney General of the Federation actually followed me to the Supreme Court on several occasions. We went to meet the Justice of the Supreme Court to explain this to them. And I give kudos to the Attorney General of the Federation who actually worked hard on this with me. And then we also went to the Chief Judge of the Federal High Court who empaneled a set of judges. Since the last time we were here, headed by Justice Binta Nyako, she was the head of, and she worked very hard on that. And then we came out with the practice direction. And then the Chief Judge of the Federal High Court signed it in presence of the Vice President of Nigeria, one of the PBEC meetings. The moment that happened, it sent a signal across the world. It wasn't difficult. They were monitoring us. They were looking at us. In 24 hours, our score went up from 49% to 70.5%. And they published it. The Aviation Working Group in both London and New York. It was a notice. It was a notice to the world that Nigeria is now ready for business. We didn't stop at that. There's what they call the IDERA, the administrative rules. We went from there in less than 1 month. We also now made sure we adjusted the administrative rule called the IDERA to comply also. Because sometimes you don't need to go to court. The practice direction is for those who prefer to go to court to try and get their aircraft back. But IDERA, you don't need to go to court. You apply to the NCA. Another 5 days, the NCA will grant you a license to take your aircraft away. So we adjusted that also. The moment we adjusted that, in less than 24 hours, we went up from 70.5 to 75.5. The next day also. So Nigeria right now, ladies and gentlemen, we have the highest score in the whole of Africa in terms of the ease of doing business and the leasing of aircraft. Nigeria is number 1 in Africa. Nigeria is number 1. You have to bring me back here again, no? Because you are saying 5 minutes. Because aviation is bursting with so many achievements. So we have to go up. We are number 1 in Africa. Now, we also went beyond that. We went policy, like I said, it's policy. We go from the big to the small in the aviation industry. We looked at the caterers and we said, many of them have been complaining. They are not making too much business. And so many international aircrafts are coming to Nigeria to lift our people. I was like, how can you make business? You cannot be making business when everybody is coming here. Almost all the international airlines are coming here to lift our passengers. And they are Nigerians that are lifting. So we said, no, this is Ojoro. This is Ojoro. We said, we won't accept it. When you come here, we made a clear policy. As from this year, you will patronize our local caterers in your outbound flights. You come with your food, we accept that. But when flying back, we have enough caterers, sky caterers on ground. We are not saying it's Amalao. We are not saying even if it's continental you want, they can make it. If it's Chinese rice, they can make it. It's not the one you are flying back in Nigeria will give you one thing. You won't know what you are eating. Now, lie? At times the person will say, Mr. Man, what do you want to eat? Do you want to be peperere or parara? You will just look say, give me parara. You will not know what you are saying that you bring. Let them tell us, you want jollof rice or fried rice, abi? Or tuwo? Then you know exactly what you are asking for. Not whether you want perere or parara. And you just say one. So it's a policy. And so we are monitoring their compliance level. Delta has complied. I think Qatar has complied. A couple of airlines have complied, and we are monitoring compliance. Some have asked for a bit more time to enter into contracts with our local caterers. And I said, I will not sign your summer schedule. Because somebody said, how will Keyamo enforce it? It's very simple. Every 3 months or 4 months, you must bring your schedule, whether we have BASA or not. Whether we have BASA or not is irrelevant. You must bring your schedule for the minister to approve. They call it winter schedule, summer schedule, and all that. I told them, if you bring your summer schedule, which is due in April, all your summer schedules, I will ask before I approve your flights, where is your contract with a local caterer? Bring your contract. I want to see that you have entered into contract with a local caterer for me to approve your summer schedule. If not, if you don't want to fly, don't fly. Aero contractors or Ibom will take that route. If you stop flying, if you don't want to fly. We have also upgraded the Muhammad Buhari Airport in Borno State, in Maiduguri, to a full-blown international airport. The Northeast have long been cheated. You have international airports in all the other zones. Why not Northeast? Northeast had not one international airport. And in line with the principle of this government, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, no part of this country will be cheated in terms of infrastructural development. The president gave full approval for us to upgrade Maiduguri Airport to a full-fledged international airport. So very soon, not only Hajj operations, international flights will arrive and depart from Maiduguri International Airport. In fact, it's even funny that most of the airlines coming from the Far Eastern Asia, they actually fly over Borno to come to Lagos and come to Abuja to land before they can discharge passengers. We have also opened up a couple of other routes. We are back to the Milan route. The Milan route has been opened now. Since Air Italia stopped flying in this country about 20 years ago, or 30 years ago, Air Italia. But we brought back another flag carrier of Italy. I've been telling that my time is up. We have also commissioned the E-gates in Lagos. We have rehabilitated the D and E wing ahead of a full-blown rehabilitation of the Lagos airports. So I will only mention one pipeline. That is in the pipeline. Maybe when we come back here, that will be fully realized. We are trying to rehabilitate fully the Lagos International Airport. Can I have 3 more minutes? So just round off. Now, let me round off now. We also went to Boeing. We also went to Dublin in January with all the stakeholders in Nigeria, including the insurance stakeholders and the banks. It was a wonderful international exhibition for Nigeria, and it was facilitated by Boeing. It's what they call the Airline Economic Growth Frontier Conference in Dublin. Now, this is a conference that is held every year where all the financiers, global financiers and resorts, they come together in one place and they trade, they do business. So everybody comes together, those who want to lease, those who negotiate. It's a yearly event in the aviation industry globally. But for the first time, Nigeria was officially invited, all the players in Nigeria, because they now felt we were serious enough for them to discuss with us. So we went to Dublin, and I can tell you that we were the signature of all eyes in Dublin when we were there in Dublin. Most of our local operators, as I speak with you, they came out with so many deals, and watch out before the end of this year. I'll be back here before the end of this year to give you the good news. They are now taking Nigeria serious, that we are ready for business. We are now fully compliant with Cape Town Convention, and almost the biggest lessors in the world, they began to enter into so many MOUs with our local operators, and we hope that will come to fruition very soon. The last thing I'll mention before I sit down is one more policy initiative. Again, we are pushing it further. We are in the process of pushing the Fly Nigeria Act to the National Assembly. There's a Fly American Act. I think there's a Fly India Act too. Now, most big countries in the world, they have their acts on Fly the Country Act. What does it say? That for all official trips funded by government, you must first patronize local airlines that fly that route. If it's only when a local airline is not flying that route, you patronize an international airline. It's going to be a law. We don't know how the National Assembly is going to see it, but it's a policy push from us. It's called the Fly Nigeria Act, and the draft is almost ready to further boost business within the country. The $1 trillion economy the president is after, aviation must contribute its own quota to the $1 trillion economy. So the Fly Nigeria Act is almost ready. We'll take it to FEC, we'll argue it at FEC, we'll take it to the National Assembly to ensure that all local airlines are first patronized on international routes before international airlines. Thank you, and God bless you all.